Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here. We'll drink a beer and play a game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour.
Yes, welcome to episode 110. How are you doing, everyone? Thank you for joining us once again for another episode of this Power podcast.
Damn it, Jim. You always start off one way, and you just drift into this defeated man real quick.
Not defeated. I just had to throw a little spice into the action there.
Speaking of Power Hours, last week we had Ryan Stone on, and if you haven't watched the episode, it is below. We want to say thank you very much for him joining us, and for all of his fans who came over to watch the video. I mean, you guys have definitely showed up to check it out, so please, once again, check it out if you haven't already. He's a great guy. We really enjoyed having him on, and his links are below as well.
Yeah, make sure you check all that out. Super cool dude.
Hell yeah. Speaking of cool, Jim, I think your heart must have fluttered when you saw these on iTunes.
Yeah.
Because I know it's your favorite app in the world.
Speaking of fucking iTunes, so this goddamn giveaway. So last time I'm going to mention it. We had picked a winner. We posted it. Jess Allen or whatever the name was. We've emailed you a couple times. If we don't hear back from you by 1 week from this episode going up. So Wednesday, the 27th. If we don't hear from you by then, we're picking another winner. So, but we do have another review, and I'll read this. I didn't read the other ones out because they felt a little forced because of part of a giveaway. But this one was non-giveaway related. So, 5-star reviews from our buddies over at Retro Game Brews. Love the chemistry on this podcast. Super knowledgeable about games and beer. Highly recommended if you're a fan of either. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate that.
So don't forget, any 5-star review, outside of a giveaway, we will definitely read.
So, Jim, I can already see. Is that Wolf Pup I see?
That is Wolf Pup. That's a good eye you got there, Bri.
Is that the Session IPA? For correct me. Is that wait, hold on. 4.6%?
If you get this right, I'm gonna.
There's no way I'm getting that right.
I'm looking. I'm doing the looky looks. Oh, so close. 4.5.
Oh, just off by a hair. Yeah, I had that last summer, and I do remember thinking it's like not as bitter as a regular IPA. It goes down pretty easy.
Yeah, it's pretty light. It's pretty smooth. I got it from the dollar section of my local beer distributor. I was like, oh, dollar beers. I'll try this.
Which beer store did you get it from?
The Summer Beverage.
Okay. Dollar. Wow.
Yeah, they had a big thing, and they were like, limit 2 per buyer. So I grabbed this and a hard tea that they had. Won't be drinking a hard tea tonight. Don't need the caffeine.
God damn it, Jim. One, how old is that can? Does it have a stamp on there?
Good question. That is a very good question. February 21. So not that old.
Oh, that's not old at all.
February 27th. Yeah.
My only guess is someone either dropped a case or a 6-pack, and they're like, we have a loose one. Are they set up to sell singles? Like, can you create your own 6-pack?
Nah, not really. So they definitely just dumped it into a bin.
Yeah. They're like, hey, we got a loose one. All right, sell it for $1.
Works for me. So.
Hey, that's when I saw that, I was like, wow, that would be really cool if places around me had that. But
there's an idea. Yeah.
So Jim, would you agree though? The idea of a session IPA is really weird. Like, if you're gonna go for any session beer, why not just go light lager or something like that? Like
something a little more just in general lighter to drink and more just enjoyable.
Yeah. Like, is it? Do you like it so far?
It's fine. It's another in the thousands of IPAs that I've had. It's definitely lighter, like you said, and yeah, a little bitter in the aftertaste. But I mean, if you're, it's fine. It's a light IPA. There's really not much I can say. It was funny though when I posted it. Someone was like, "Golden Road, isn't that AB InBev? That's not craft." And I was like, "Or isn't that like Bud?" And then our buddies at Hop Nation USA came in. They're like, "Yeah, that's AB InBev."
Yep.
And their nice little dig of saying, you eat cold McDonald's French fries, don't you? To which I said, yes, because I do.
Yes, you do, Jim. Yes, you do.
Because I'm a little piggy.
All right. Well, I'm going with the Wish I Was at the Beach Zombie. It's a fruited sour.
Interesting.
From the Kings County Brewers Collective from Brooklyn, New York. I don't think I've had anything from these guys. But you know what? Like, honestly, sours now are like just as popular as IPAs. Like in my store, there's a whole section of sours and a whole section of IPAs, and I was always like, let me try some of them. This one sounded interesting. It's a sour with strawberry, guava, tart cherry, and blackberry, barley, and wheat. 4.5%. So me and Jim are drinking the same amount. And yeah, maybe for a game I'll be playing later this week for Thirsty Thursdays, the zombie will come into play.
Interesting.
And Jim, of course, I am drinking out of the glass I know you both love and hate.
Ah, yes. I didn't hate it. I was just like, at first I thought, I was like, oh, the ads got to you. And you're like, I followed them. That's why I saw it. I went, ew.
Yeah. No, they have a lot of great glasses and ones that it may work out as good gifts for you, Jem. Maybe I'll tell your wife.
Ooh.
They have a lot of cool ones, but they're one of these, like, they don't keep stock forever, and it pisses me off because they have some really great video game theme ones, but I was like, Anchorman, dude, how many times that summer did we see that movie in theaters? At least, like, 4, right?
No, I didn't see Anchorman for the first time until after it was in theaters.
Really?
Yeah,
because
we were over Chris's
and
house.
Matt were there.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
That's weird. Yeah, I saw that movie way too many times. We watched it way too many times. Second one, you can kind of leave alone.
Let's forget that was a thing. Just like any of these movies with sequels a decade and a half later, doesn't always work out good.
I mean, it's not as good. I didn't fully hate Super Troopers 2.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's not, I mean, I'm not putting it anywhere near as good as Super Troopers. I'm just saying it's not awful.
I mean, it came and went, so if no one talks about it, you can get the idea.
That will be Jim's favorite movie then.
Probably.
All right, Chambers. So what you been up to playing-wise this week? Well, actually, I do know what you've been playing this week because I've seen a lot on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Well, I went back. So, spoiler for this week. By the end of this week, we're going to be releasing our review from Mortal Kombat 11, coincide with the movie coming out. So I went back and I had like 2 chapters left of Aftermath to finish. So I finished that off. Then went through basically went through all of Retromania Wrestling. So we'll be getting around to a review on that.
Very soon, yep.
Yep, having fun on that, so I won't give any spoilers here.
Okay. Man, you don't want to talk at all about it?
All right, I'll talk about it. I guess in general... See, full disclosure, we got sent codes for it, so I'm not going to... I hate to be negative about something I was given for free, because it's like, yeah, what can I really bitch about? But I think they could have done more with it. Like, I get trying to be like a love letter to the old arcade game, but I think that's kind of a detriment from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah, I as well been playing some of the Retromania. And immediately, like, if you're a fan of WrestleFest, you go, oh, okay, I think I'll know exactly. The problem is they kind of take a lot from Fire Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
And with the momentum, the stamina, you can't really pull off chain moves. Like, WrestleFest was pure arcade. This game is like, try to be both. And the problem is because it didn't dig in deep enough for either one, it's like stuck in this weird middle ground where people who are fans of, and if you're a real big wrestling fan, I'm sorry, I feel like most of this roster is very obscure.
Oh, it's very much for the indie fan and the marks and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like, it's a love letter to those people. And, like, of course, Jim and I saw the Too Many Games arena. I did love that. I love the throwbacks, like what's supposed to be the ECW arena. Like, it truly is a love letter. There's tons of attention put into it. But like I said, it is such a weird, obscure roster that, for one, like, I didn't know 70% of them. And so I have no idea
So that's not a problem for me, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like, special moves, like, even how to pull them off. Like, I had to look it up. So my only 2 biggest complaints about
I didn't realize I was doing finishers until I got an achievement for it.
That's funny.
But they're like, oh, you do 3 finishers in a row. I was like, I was doing finishers? Okay.
If I'm going to fault the game for anything, and like Jim said, we'll get into a review.
Yeah.
If you're a modern game today, you got to have online. And I know that's costly, and I know they're a small developer. I fully appreciate that, but that kills replayability, especially right now during COVID. Like, a lot of people can't be doing couch co-ops, even if they wanted to. And I kind of feel like if you're a wrestling game these days, you got to have just a super, super bare minimum, like, customization, create a wrestler. Like, even if it's like the good old WCW or like the N64 games, if it's just a palette swap of the existing wrestler, like, be able to just have that tiny bit of functionality. Those are just, like I said, super minor.
Some nitpicks,
but yeah. Like I said,
yeah,
we'll
I
get
like
to the
roster
full review
because I'm more into the indie scene, but it's a weird middle ground, but it's for a very specific audience, I think.
Yeah, and that's my only concern for these guys is I know that audience is diehard.
But then again, they wanted to have real wrestlers in it, and obviously these were way cheaper to get the licenses for than for bigger names. So
yeah, and like I said, I get that. It's I hope it does well, and I hope that the indie crowd really comes through and actually goes out and gets it. I'll just say that.
Yeah, definitely, because it'll add on to it. And that'll be a nice segue to later on when talking about buying a game when it comes out.
Yeah. But no, outside that...
And then I've also been playing, some Astro Aqua Kitty DX. So it's another game that's been sent to us. Aqua Kitty was like a big deal independent game back in like 2013, 2014. So this is like the sequel to it. Cool game. Nice. It's from Tiki Pod, who I talked about before, and he really expanded like the whole universe of like that franchise from just being a Defender clone. It's like very, very open levels, very mission based. It's cool.
You're an open level.
I sure am. Spread me.
Yeah, other games. So, I guess, Jim, should I mention one of the new Patreon preview requests we got? Because I did start that.
Okay, cool. You went into that already.
Yeah, so I started playing Darkwing Duck on the NES. I'll completely reserve. I don't even want Jim to know what I think yet. I want him to try it first and give his thoughts.
Okay, because, I've never played it. I know it's a Mega Man clone, but I've never played it.
Okay, then yeah. Like, I honestly... Other than seeing footage like once in a while, I knew it was a platforming shooter. That's about all I knew. So, that'll be another review we'll be getting to. But good choice. I'll say that.
Yep. So yeah, I'm excited to play around with that one.
Outside that, though, haven't played much else for a fucking third time. I had a water issue, and if you're wondering why my background looks slightly different at a different angle, it's because I've redone my game room for like the third time. So I think on our Patreon, Jim and I have been trying to do vlogs. I will probably do a game room tour now. I have it pretty much done being set up, so I'll do it the very quick. It's not... Jim has a way bigger collection, as you can see, like... Mine will be quick, but I will put that up on our Patreon.
Hey, so for as little as $1, you can see Brian's game room and mine. Before mine was a freaking dumpster fire of mess.
You just have too much, Jim.
It's getting bad. I need new shelves. I need an overhaul.
I think you just need to sell a lot of it.
I need an overhaul.
But Jim, speaking of Patreons,
yes.
we should really thank Weber and Burn Retinas for upping their pledges last week.
Yeah,
Aaron, really appreciate it.
Yeah, Aaron Weber, $1 to $2. So please get your questions in, man. And yeah, Burn Retinas, as we just mentioned, upped it to $5. He wants us to see us talk about Darkwing, so we really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, so for anyone else out there, first-time listeners or new or long-time, patreon.com, game requests, ask questions, and we have a load of questions this week, which is awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
So, first up, from Gamer Astral, favorite Offspring
Geared up
album.
for this. Favorite Offspring album. Ooh, shit.
Americana for me. That's easy.
That kind of is my go-to, but I was what the hell is the name? Is it just the Offspring, the one with Come Out and Play and
shit? What the fuck was that one called? Balls. Smash. It was called Smash.
Smash. It's a skeleton on the front.
Yeah, it's Smash.
Yeah, that I was really into the album because I think my brother showed me like Come Out and Play and Gotta Get Away, and I was hooked as a kid. So yeah, I don't know. That's tough, man. Like Americana, I probably listen to more.
Yeah.
But shit, the classics are a classic.
My favorite memory with Smash is one time I was like, as a kid, cleaning my bedroom, forced to, chores, shit like that. So I had my boombox going with that.
You mean cleaning the toilet?
No, I wasn't cleaning the toilet that time. But I had my boombox going, and it was I forget which track it is, but it's the one where in the middle of it they just start going shit, piss, fuck, cunt,
Yeah.
and like my parents were like, Jimmy, what are you listening to up there? Because I had it going loud.
Yeah. Americana's probably got to be my answer at the end of the day, but Smash is so close.
Yeah, Have You Ever was like my favorite song for like a year and a half. So
yeah, oh, dude, Americana though, that whole album, that was one of the perfect examples of an album I would just start from the beginning and just leave on.
Yep, lost art. So next up from Alex Perez, this is for Jim's Krusty Corner. Oh boy. You mentioned very casually in the last Power Hour how 1 month into dating your wife, you peed on her cell phone. That's a power move, bud. So on that matter, what are some of the weirdest places or objects you have peed on?
Ooh, Jim, sir.
Well, Brian, I think if there's one story that I'm going to have to whip out for this, it's going to have to be the Volkswagen.
That was a good one, too.
Okay, yeah. I want to hear which one you want to go with afterwards, but...
Yeah, you tell your story first, because there's one that makes me laugh more, but yeah.
Okay, so we were at a friend's graduation party from college, and as we're stumbling back to my car, and I was pissed drunk, stupid 21-year-old, way too drunk to drive, but, I was driving all, like, 4 of us home, and as we're walking to the car, I'm like, man, I gotta pee. So for whatever reason, I was angry for a lot of reasons back then. Still am. But... more
you
control.
were not as angry as you used to be. Your anger level is going up. I can't even say it's out of control now compared to the happy, carefree, failing classes Chambers we know.
See, that Chambers, he bottled in a lot of stuff with weed and booze back in the day. So when stuff came out, it was more of an explosion instead of a steady stream of constant anger that I have now. More controlled. But yeah, for whatever reason, obviously I had to pee for a reason. But for whatever reason, I saw this Volkswagen and it just pissed me off being there. So I decided I was going to pee on it. So I did. And, right on the hood. Looking back, I feel so bad about it. But things that happened at the time. So my car was around the corner and where we're at was all one-way streets. So we get in the corner, I had to circle around and loop up the same street to get out of there. So as I'm doing it, this guy comes running out in front of my car and he's from the house of the car I just peed on. And he's just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, what? And he's like, you just peed on my car. I was like, no, I didn't. And he was like, yes, you did. And I was like, uh-uh. And he was like, I saw you do it. I was like, no, I was peeing between your car, and then the wind blew my pee onto your car. And I don't know if it was just like a level of shock. I think he basically had his girlfriend say, you need to get out there and confront him. And he was like, fuck. Because I just kind of drove away after that point.
Well, I think he also realized real quickly
there was a losing battle.
There was a car full of dudes
of drunk
also, and that is everyone's reaction could be different, but if I saw someone piss on my car, I would have a different reaction than that guy. Yeah. Even you, if you had seen someone, I'm sure you'd be like, "What the fuck?" Yeah. I don't know how far you'd go, but that's one of those things that once you probably realize how drunk. Car full of dudes. It was a terrible move on your part. That's
completely. Yeah, no, I feel freaking terrible about it, but yeah,
you deserve someone taking a poop on your car.
Pretty much. So if by some random chance you're out there listening to this and you're going, that's the fucking guy. I'm sorry.
That is a good one. That is definitely the weirdest object, but the pee story that still makes me laugh heartily is
it when I slipped?
Yes. So do you want me to set it up, Jim?
No, I can set it up. So we were having a house party, and I lived with my 2 buddies. One lived below me, one lived in his own suite with his own bathroom, and one downstairs had his own bathroom. So they both had their ladies at the time over, and they were doing what people in relationships do. So
playing checkers?
Huh?
Playing checkers?
Yes. So I'm like, fuck, I gotta pay after a party. So always getting into trouble with my drunk peas. So try to go to one room, locked. I'm like, So start to make my way to the other one. And he didn't have a door. He just had a spiral staircase as I'm going down. And as I'm going down, he's like, you probably shouldn't come down here right now. And I went, So decide, all right, I'm going to go pee in the alley. So I go out to pee in the alley, and this was in the middle of winter after a snowstorm, very icy. So I do pee, and then I do slip. And I think I basically slipped into my pee and also sprained my ankle for a week.
I see. Now, here's a little caveat. When you told me, I thought you said you started to pee, and somebody said, "What are you doing?" And it kind of like you kind of like got scared and
fell. Oh, that might have that could have been part of it. I forgot that.
Because I mean, Jim has a history. Jim has a history of walking in ice not being very fond of him.
I have balance problems in general.
But this, like, yeah, his alleyway was on a pretty decent slope, and he's like at the top of it. So yeah, at ice, Jim drunk, and somebody probably just being like, "What the fuck you doing?" And him like Jim is very, and just goes down.
This may come as a shock, but I'm not the most graceful person.
Jim, now, hearing this, if you could redo that, would you just either pee in a bottle or just pee in the kitchen sink at that point?
I probably would just pee in the sink at that point.
Now, what would have been fascinating is I don't think you guys had any step stools, is how you would have maneuvered yourself up to pee into the sink.
Oh, I mean, it could have resulted with me falling once again, but there's a good chance it would have resulted in that.
There's a lot of good Jim pee stories.
Oh, are there ever? So thank you, Alex. That's okay topic. Next up from Game Whisperer Dean. Can you recommend any stock market games? Fucking goddamn. There were so many times I was like, maybe I will throw like $100 at Doge while it's at 5 cents. I thought it was going to go back down to under a penny. Then I was going to strike. Nope.
Yeah. I mean,
but what do you call it?
It's gambling at its finest, Jim. That's all it is.
Pretty much. So, what do you call it? I mean, the only one I really know of off the top of my head is like Wall Street Kid on the NES.
Is there any others, really?
Yeah. I have no idea. I think there's some weird... There's probably like a weird Famicom game that like lets you like simulate the stock market and shit like that using like the keypad controller for it and something or other. So I'm sure there's something like that out there, but I guess I got to go Wall Street Kid.
Wall Street Kid, yeah, that was my only one. So
there you go. Next up from 5th Gen Mook, favorite platformers outside of Nintendo. I mean, I love the Genesis era Sonics. It's not a stunning and or brave answer, but I love the original Sonics.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough to. I guess
I almost like platformers more that are like run and gun actiony platformers and just straight up like mascot character platformers. Like
I was gonna go Contra.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I like a Contra or like a Rocket Knight Adventures more than I do say a Spyro or Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, or you could even throw like Aladdin and that shit in there.
Yeah, Aladdin's up there too. And depending on which one you play, one is basically just a platformer and the other one's an action platformer. So
yeah,
options. But yeah, maybe I would say like Plock on the Super NES. Like that's a really good one. Hard as shit, but it's really good.
Yeah, and I'll stick with Contra.
Right, there you go. Next up from our buddy Burn Retinas. This may have been asked before. Seltzers exploded in popularity. How big are seltzers with Brian and Jim?
The only two I've ever had were at Jim's house. I did not like them. 21-year-old Brian, I would have drank anything. Like, they've been fine. And I'm not even saying like they're, for me, they're kind of too sugary. They're not that good. And if there's beer, I'm going to go whatever style beer is there over a seltzer. Now, that's not saying I'll never drink them, like if that was the only thing available. But unlike Jim, yeah, I don't have an affinity for them.
Yeah, I like them. I they're only a summertime kind of drink for me. Definitely when the hotter the better, because then they become refreshing. But I'm kind of like they are refreshing. But even the best ones like don't even really taste all that good. Like I'd have to say like the black cherry ones by like White Claw are probably the best tasting ones out there. And even then that's not like the highest bar set in the world. Like they all kind of taste like butt pipe, but you have to find the ones that taste like the least like butt pipe. So I would say go with that one. So I do enjoy them. What?
Butt pipe, really?
Yeah.
That's Jim's crusty corner word of the day. Butt pipe.
So yeah, I enjoy them under specific circumstances, or if they're there.
He
And
loves them.
last up from G to the next level. What is your favorite Taito game of all time? Chaz.
Ooh,
That's
I need to look up a list real quick.
actually, I figured you would need that, Bry. So I looked up a whole bunch for you. So like stuff like Darius, Little Samson, Bubble Bobble, 10-Yard Fight, Double Dragon, Cloudmaster, Truxton, Zeroing, Ninja Warriors, Arkanoid, Jungle Hunt, stuff like that.
Arkanoid. Arkanoid is one of my faves. That Double Dragon. Is it weird to say that I feel like that game, as much as I do love it, it's been overrated for how much it's loved?
It got left in the dust. Like it's a very important franchise, but beat 'em ups quickly got better than Double Dragon ever really was.
I'd probably go Arkanoid.
Yeah, I'm really torn between either Kicks or Jungle Hunt, but I'd probably go Kicks because it's just way more timeless. But Jungle Hunt was such an important game for my childhood. But yep, going with Kicks.
I thought you were gonna go Blaze Blue.
What?
I think don't they do Blaze Blue as well? I'm looking.
Do they do Blaze Blue? They might.
Looks like they do.
You might be right. I do like me some Blaze Blue, but nah, I've played way more Kicks than Blaze Blue or shit like that.
I felt like, especially early on when we did a lot of NES games, we covered. I mean, we obviously covered every Taito sports game, but I remember seeing that. I feel like for some of the fighting games we did, maybe that was on a different system.
That might have been later. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like after paying like Ninja Saviors, Return of the Warrior, like Ninja Warriors is so fucking good.
That is a great game.
Yeah.
It really is.
And then like the Darius series, if you like them, you like them. I'm not crazy about it, but it's a good series. Bubble Bobble. Like, oh man, I do love me some Puzzle Bobble though. Like Puzzle Bobble's up there too.
Shut up.
What?
Might as well
great.
Might as well say Lemmings.
I do like Lemmings.
I know you do.
But yeah, I'll go with Kicks on that one.
Kick you.
Man.
Here too.
Yeah. That wraps up the Patreon questions for this week. So once again, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to everyone who upped your pledges. Make sure when you sign up, make sure to check out all the exclusive content we have on there, and plus all the other perks you can get. And $2 a month, you can ask a question, just like these fine gentlemen did.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you once again, and get those questions in each and every week.
That's goddamn right.
All right, Jim. So, I know your favorite game of all time is...
I never played it.
I know, I'm kidding. You actually hate it.
I don't hate it.
Well, you just hate any game that's too cinematic and is based on story.
I would probably be bored by it, but...
Yeah.
So, I can't say I hate it, though, because I never played it.
So, coming to us from Bloomberg, why don't you explain this one, Jim?
So, this is a really fucking long article.
Yeah, it is.
And, like, basically the gist of it is... All right, well, I'll go with the title of it. That would be a good start. Sony's obsession with blockbusters is stirring unrest within the PlayStation empire. So, a small team had big ambitions for the Last of Us remake, but Sony handed the work to Star Studio Naughty Dog. So this is a really big article, and basically there is a small team of like 30 people that was put together that was going to be called Sony Corp's Visual Arts Service Group. And they really wanted to like make their own title, but they figured they should start with like a safer bet to like get their foot in the door with Sony. So they were pitched basically, let us remake The Last of Us 1. So Sony was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. But then like shortly after, they kind of just took it from them and gave it to Naughty Dog, who made the original one anyway. So like basically it took away their autonomy, and it really starts to break down how over the last bunch of years, Sony's really just been going away from smaller titles and from, you know, stuff that's more of a risk, and they just want home runs. Like they want God of War and Last of Us level popularity every single time.
Yeah.
Even to the detriment of like another, like, you know, there is a studio that made stuff like Everyone's Golf. And that's basically getting shut down because they don't want to risk games that are only going to be hits in Japan, basically. And it really went into stuff from there, like even a game like Days Gone, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You know, it eventually had a strong following, but when the developers behind it really wanted to have a sequel, and Sony said no because it wasn't big enough of a hit, or it wasn't like a strong enough title. Shit like that. So there's a lot of unrest within like a lot, unless you're one of the main couple big publishers or developers that Sony's bought over the years, they're really not going to give you as much of a chance in this day and age.
Yeah, I mean, when I read that, my thought was, one, why is Sony dictating? Like, I thought with Naughty Dog's developing the game, don't they have the rights to the game to begin with? Or does Sony somehow have the rights?
I guess Sony has the rights. I mean, IPs change developers all the time.
Sure,
So,
I get that.
I guess the parent company can own it, and then, it can just go to someone else.
But here's the deal. So, how many remakes have we already had for Last of Us? I mean, you
had the HD, it was already HD, but you had, an upgraded remaster that came out on the PS4 early on, because the PS4 didn't have a lot of titles.
I actually have that, but my thing is, so how are they, when they said remake it, are they talking about another,
a real remake, not like a remaster? They wanted retell, I guess, use the characters, but retell the story in their own way, or tell a new story, that kind of deal.
Here's the deal: that game, it has just a sequel. Isn't it a bit rushed to want to just remake it?
Well, that's the thing. Sure bet.
I mean, at that point, just do number 3, or
Well, they wouldn't trust a small studio with number 3. They would just give that to Naughty Dog. But
that's what I mean. I mean, I think it's also kind of a small studio. I feel like that's them trying to hit outside their league. That's like you walking up to the 10 in the bar and saying "Hey, you want to go out?" You're trying to shoot for the stars. And I'm not saying just you. I'm saying anybody.
You miss the shots you don't take, sir.
You do, but you also have to be a realist. Arguably, without knowing the numbers, I have to imagine Last of Us is in the top 3 or 5 biggest Sony sellers in the past couple years.
It's probably up there, yeah.
Why not go for a lower range? Shit, we've talked how many times.
The problem is Sony doesn't want lower range right now either.
Go Twisted Metal. That needs something.
I agree. Maybe
no,
Sony doesn't...
I hear it. Sony, yeah, they don't want it. But what I'm saying is this developer, I don't love that idea. And I know it's tough to sell to Sony, but I think the good thing about being a developer in general, you kind of have the 3 majors and even Steam to develop on. If you can't get on Sony, okay, go to Xbox, go to Switch, go to Steam. Develop somewhere else is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you there. It's tough, though, I guess, with the people that you're around, the people you know, the team you put together. Because I think those people he's worked on other projects, so...
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a whole bit of a thing, but... Yeah, because at first when I read the article, I was like, oh, Christ, last thing we need is a remake of Last of Us. The game's still new enough, and it's already been, like we said, re-released. But then I read more into it, and I was like, oh, okay, Sony's just really veering away from this. Which is funny, since Sony's dominating so hard. They have the time and the money to, try other things, maybe try to get a new IP over, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's also, I guess, because they're dominating so hard, do they need to? It's kind of if they don't need to, then they're not going to go out of their way to do it, I guess. But here, okay, so this raises a question, and without knowing the details, if this was a full remake, or is it kind of like the Resident Evil 1 remake, where it's graphical and then there's a few little gameplay elements change, but overall the story is exactly the same?
See, that I don't know. I don't know it doesn't really go into what the whole scope was going to be, so.
It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, Sony's, as we'll talk about in a minute, they're interesting. They're on multiple sides of a coin. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Well, the follow-up to that, because we mentioned Days Gone in there.
Yeah.
And the developer for Days Gone, he got himself a little bit of a tizzy over the past week. Could have been a gamer's mad potential. But basically, he was doing a podcast on David Jaffe's show, and Days Gone's coming out to PC, which is kind of funny because it's been like a year and a half since it came out, but finally getting that PC port to Steam. And he's basically saying that's no hope for a Days Gone 2, because he went to Sony about it, and Days Gone did so bad. Well, I didn't really do super bad, but it wasn't like the smash that they wanted. So he basically has a funny little direct quote here.
Yeah.
I do have an opinion on something that your audience may find of interest, and it might piss some people off. If you love a game, then buy it at full fucking price. I can't tell you how many times I've seen gamers say, yeah, I got that on sale. I got it through PS Plus. Whatever. So his major bitch is the fact that since people didn't buy up his game enough when it was brand new, it didn't get the cloud of respect that it needed, so it wasn't a big enough hit, so he can't make the second game in the series like he wants to. And he said while he knew his comments weren't going to be loved by the general public, Jaffe seemed to come to his followers' defense, responding that people aren't going to know they love a game until they play it. And the response taken by Garvin was to say that people might not want to pay $60 or even $70 for a PS title they aren't sold on. So he understood it, but he believed that people shouldn't complain if a game doesn't get a sequel if they aren't willing to pony up the cash. Are people really clamoring for a Days Gone sequel?
I mean,
I think that's a game that's combination. That's definitely a game that came and went. No one really talked about it.
The people that played it loved it. The problem is, yeah, it didn't get the sale of, as we just said,
It was another zombie game that was coming out the exact same time as Last of Us 2.
I mean, yeah, that didn't help it. I mean, I think what it went up against, it was buried. I think the game is good. But here's the deal.
It had, like, the pre-release reviews, like, kind of trashed it a little bit because it had a lot of problems that were fixed in a day one patch.
Sure.
So, like,
yeah.
Hey, if you want people to have some buzz for your game, maybe have it presentable for reviewers before it goes out there.
See, you know what? I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to give this guy a pass for the one thing. He's just showing a very human moment. Like,
oh, yeah.
Any developer, like, we've seen some bitch-ass developers. Like, the dude who made Fez and his little bitch fest.
Oh, Phil Fish is the worst. Yeah, he's
like,
no Phil Fish.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so when I've seen guys do shit like that and act like that, this was like, dude, it's just a dude on a podcast, and he's like, you want to know my real thought? Like, here it is.
You can tell he really wanted to, like, keep the story of that, like, world going and shit like that.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, he's hurting. Like,
I sympathize. Like, if you put your heart and soul into it, you know that if people out there, like, would have paid full price, that's well and good. But at the same time, the only reason you may have gotten as many eyes on it is because people got it on sale. Shit, I got it on sale from GameStop for $10. Like, yeah. It's like, one.
Sorry.
It's so tough because, yes, I've fully, like, I've how many times have I jacked off now, like, Puppet Combo? From they're only a Patreon thing. They're cheap, but I like their shit, so I'm willing to pay a little more to get some of their games. It's like you can't ask that of everyone. If the market was what it used to be, you could ask that. The market is so flooded with so many games from so many developers. It's like, no, you can't ask everyone to pay. Shit, most people, like Jim and I, how many AAA titles are we willing to shell out full price for? Maybe 2 a year, if that.
If that.
Like, we do Call of Duty for friends.
One of them's Call of Duty just because we do it with friends. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be doing it day one.
I can tell you right now, this year, I'm going to do it for Resident Evil. I'm going to do it for whatever the Call of Duty is. Nothing else on the horizon is really like, oh, I have to get brand new. It's all going to be, I'll wait till it drops $20 or something. Because every gamer nowadays that I talk to has a backlog of other shit that's great games that they just haven't gotten around to playing. So,
and plus, almost every, like, AAA release, a good fucking chunk of them these days, within 3 months, they're half off.
They're half off, yeah.
Immortals Phoenix Rising, like, huge game, ton of press, did good with sales, but even then, 3 months later, it was half off.
It's half off.
So, why would you ever... It makes no sense in this day and age to buy a game brand new. Which, yeah, that sucks, but that's also the market right now. So, like, you really need to... it's tough, man, because, like, it's also an uphill battle because, like, do we need another zombie game? Like, if you make a good game, you make a good game. Like, that's neither here nor there. But he's also fighting an uphill battle because, you know, it's a market that's been so flooded in the last decade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and obviously me, I love my zombie games. So even I got excited for it. I was like, oh, I'll play the demo, whatever. And my PS4 library is small as shit as is. But I was like, I have too many other things. I'll get to it. I know, and I do like it. But you know, it's an uphill battle for that. But it's also an uphill battle because thinking about what Jim just said, the only time you would buy a game brand new is if it is like a very multiplayer heavy game and you need to like be actively playing to be any good. So if you want to compete on a multiplayer game, like on a daily basis, like if you do in a sports game, a shooter or whatever, you're probably more likely. Outside of that, like, what is the purpose of a game that's a single player game? It doesn't make sense for a lot of gamers anymore, unless it's like a franchise that they have been clamoring for forever. It's tough, man. The easy answer is, I mean, that's the market. That's your competition, and it sucks. Hopefully one day you can come out with a sequel, but, you know.
It's an easy thing to dunk on, but it's also like, when you really think about it, it's like, you get it, though. You feel for the guy.
That's why I'm saying I give him a pass, because it was just a very human moment. Like, he just said, fuck it, man. Just stop being cheap and buy the game if you like it. But at least he walked it back in that same sentence. Like I said, we've seen plenty of other developers that do much worse. I'll say that.
Oh, for goddamn sure. Like the goddamn Last of Us that ruined them. So,
God. Yeah.
But speaking once again of Sony,
Jim, let me tell you why this warmed my heart after I say what it is. So it's all in the news right now. So everyone knows it's been up in arms. PS3 games have been shooting up in price across the board because the PS3 store and PS Vita were going to be closed.
And the PSP.
Yeah, by July originally, was it?
June or July, something like that.
And huge outcry from fans. Like, what the fuck? Like, everyone that could made a video like, here's the games you need to get before it goes, da-da-da-da. And Sony's like, you know what? We heard you guys. We're not closing it. They're only closing the Vita, right?
No, they're only closing the PSP.
PSP,
Vita
I'm sorry.
PS3 they're going to keep alive.
Yeah. So, you know, give Sony some credit here. Like, even if they're a Sony hater, like, that's fan service. If this was Nintendo, they'd say, fuck you, we're still pulling it. Like, Sony is doing, like, the right thing. I kind of laugh, though. I look at this the same way right now you look at crypto shit. Any asshole that went out and bought a game too high, like, and the value probably replummeted, I'm like, yeah, like, you know, especially I hope a scalper went out there and paid way too much or something, and then the price of it just fucking tanked. I really hope that happened to some people.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a lot of, like, there was some collection on there, like the PlayStation Now collection from like early on in the PS3's life, or mid-range, some shit like that. But it's a bunch of games that no one cares about. Like, they're not particularly good from what I can tell. But when it goes away, they're only available on this collection physically. Mm-hmm. So that went from being a thing that was like, you know, $20 if that, to fucking $200 instantly. It's funny, like, there's a Twitter account called, like, you know, Cheap Game Deals that after they announced that they're, you know, extending the life cycle, they're like, hope you didn't go out and buy for this one.
Yeah. Like your puppeteer, I'm sure the price probably came back down on that.
Most likely. I'm actually trying to sell that at this point to see if I can.
Jim, don't sell it. I want it. That's the only good game you've ever recommended. Don't give me that look. You've given me that Gundam bullshit.
$100, little man. Put that shit in.
Jim, I'll just steal it. I mean, I'll leave the case there, and then when you open it, it'll be a CD that says "F you."
But actually, yeah, since they're all plummeting now, I'm like, I don't have a reason. I can just keep it then. I like my Sega.
I mean,
but yeah, I had like two feelings once that happened. One, I was like, well, good thing I didn't let FOMO take a hold of me for some of these titles. Mm-hmm. And two, I was like, now I don't have to feel bad about hoarding once again, because since the value's gone, why would I have to care about a missed opportunity to sell something? So,
Jim, that works out perfect. It's not your nature to not hoard.
It is true. So, for the hoarders of us out there, now I will say this: like, a lot of people, like, Sony does deserve credit for listening to the people. I also do think that it's not like it's out of the goodness of their heart. Like, they saw eBay sales fucking explode, so they're like, oh wait, no, we want that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they're going to keep I guarantee, I'm going to make a prediction right now that both of those stores will be gone in a year. I think that it's going to have a boom for like 2 to 3 months when people are trying to get all the games that they want to get in the meantime. And then by like August, it'll go back to, you know, a dozen sales a month per platform if you're lucky. And then they're going to be like, okay, this isn't worth it. We gave you a chance.
Well, I almost think they're going to probably analyze the crazy. I can only imagine the uptick and surge of purchases on those. Yeah. They're going to see what games like were really hot, and the ones that aren't being re-released, like, they'll probably put on the PS5. Like, they'll probably say, like, okay, you can no longer get on the PS3, but we've now made it available here online, like through the PS Store.
Or put it on PlayStation Now as a selling point.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like I think they'll take the hottest sellers, say, okay, like you're saying, they don't want to lose that revenue stream because I guess at some point, it's like how long can they really keep it open? Just take whatever's an only online game and convert it over.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when we talked about when people were mad that Nintendo was taking Pikmin 3 off the Wii U eShop. It was like, no one's fucking buying it. That's why they're taking it off. So it's one of those things where it's like, eventually it makes sense for these companies. Like, of course, there's, preservation and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But, like, eventually we'll get to the point where you can just emulate whatever. Hopefully people are way more into preservation and cracking games and stuff like that than they were back in the 80s. So
yeah,
I don't think we're going to be losing as many titles as we did back then.
Like, I'm all for preservation, but yeah, like I said, I think nowadays everything is cracked or emulated one way or another, so I don't think we have to worry about it at all. But no, I mean, hey, like I said, I know a lot of people shit on Sony. I got my Sony shirt on right now. It's
chill.
It's give credit where credit's due. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, they listen. Like you said, if it was Nintendo, they would just be like, pfft.
Yeah, Nintendo.
Wah, you're mad. Oh, look, shiny Zelda. Woo, all the money again.
No, they're like, you're mad. Here's more cardboard. Have fun. All right, but not talking about Nintendo, but talking about someone related to Nintendo. Kind of. Listen, Jim.
Yeah.
They're connected.
He's mostly been in Nintendo. Yeah, it's not a bad transition.
They're old fuck buddies. Just accept it. All right. All right.
Old faithful. He's got to drop a load, and there's good old Sony there ready to lap it up.
So from TrueAchievements.com, never heard of it. Microsoft,
they're reputable, very reputable. I'm sure. TrueAchievements.com.
Microsoft, which we know right now, they're the friggin' Pac-Man of the industry. They're gobbling up whatever they can. And they're reportedly in talks to bring Hideo Kojima's next game to the Xbox.
Yeah, so it's a short article. There's really not a lot there. But Kojima's got another game that's going to be coming out on Sony soon. Or it's into plans. But yeah, Microsoft really wants him to jump ship and come over to them for the first time, basically.
I mean, we've said this before. Microsoft. Well, I mean,
Metal Gear Solid 5 was on there and shit like that. Like, he's been on there before, but they want that big Kojima title to be there.
Exactly, and they're taking shots. Like we said either last podcast or one before, between making MLB The Show like free on like they're taking shots at Sony wherever they could, and they are just purposely just pissing them off. Dude, if they could secure it, and if they start like securing IPs that are no longer Sony exclusives, and it takes away some of that elusiveness, they're shooting their shot. I gotta respect it. I don't know how far it'll go.
Yeah, that abandoned game we're talking about wasn't a Kojima game. It was just rumored to be. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically the intent is, I mean, Microsoft is always done terrible in Japan. So they're really trying to do everything they can to, lap up some kind of Japanese interest. So Kojima would be a big one.
Yeah. But I'm going to say kind of sticking with an interesting transition. We talked before about Microsoft, all the shit they're trying to buy. And for a long time, there was a goofy rumor about Microsoft trying to buy Sega. We said, no, there's no chance. That's probably fake. And it's not a full sale, but Sega is selling its Western arcade division. It's not the Microsoft. Actually, who is it to?
Blah, 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 blah. Hold on one second. Sega Amusements.
Genda,
yeah.
I don't know what Genda is.
They're like an arcade distributor for, Western countries like the United States, North America stuff.
But what is interesting from this article, this leads me to believe that there was more substance to Microsoft actually either offering or trying to approach Sega, because they probably knew some shit was up, and they're just like, we'll just buy you guys out. And, obviously Sega's saying in this article from Game Rant that they're doing this basically in an effort to, get back some of their COVID-19 losses. I ask again, Jim, I know we keep seeing this pop up every once in a while. Would it be completely crazy to you if Sega is hurting that bad that Microsoft buys them up?
No, it wouldn't be that crazy. I think it would be, we talked about this a couple times. Like, I would be really shocked if it happened because their ownership's just old school Japan, and they do not sell to Western people. So, I mean, but Microsoft has all the money in the world, so you never know. But yeah, so the interesting thing is,
Jim, would you say Microsoft is the $1 million man in this situation, and everyone's got a price?
That is very true. Oh God, who would be Virgil then? Would Phil Spencer be Virgil?
Someone from Microsoft just comes walking. Money, money, money.
God, that's one of the best songs ever.
It really is. And the best,
but it's
best
funny
laugh in wrestling.
Oh, by far. But yeah, so like it was last year when they sold off the Eastern version of it, and it's funny because like Sega's arcades in Japan were like entire buildings that were like arcades owned, operated by Sega, shit like that. Whereas in this move into West is less like striking because like it's basically their arcade division in the West. So like they sell it to Genda. Genda will still keep Sega's arcades in different spots where they're at. It'll still keep the Sega logos and the marquees and all that shit. It's just basically owned by a different company now and taken care of.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's what I mean. I mean, I'm looking down the line.
Stuff will still be around with the Sega name on it, but yeah, it is just. I mean, Sega's bleeding money. Like, what have they really released lately? I mean, they own Atlas, which Atlas has been their saving grace with Persona and shit like that. But besides that, like they haven't even had a new Sonic game in a while. Like.
So I'm saying, man, just sell to Microsoft. Let Microsoft get someone, develop a new Sonic game, bring back some old franchises. I don't see why. I just, maybe I don't understand it enough, but I don't see why it's a bad thing. Sega's,
speaking of. Yeah, I mean, Sega could be hurting way more than we thought. But, man, actually, speaking of, what do you call it? I mean, I was about to say, Streets of Rage 4, but that was Lizard Cube, who's doing the new Turtles game, which I can't wait for. So.
Yeah, no, I saw that. That's interesting. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to keep following anything that pops up about it because, I don't know, man. I have a gut feeling. Give it a year. There could be some things moving.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they got sold, but I would be really shocked if it went to Microsoft.
Maybe Sony does a power move and tries to buy them over.
Jesus, what a fucking fuck you that would be.
That would be quite interesting. But
and I mean, I know Nintendo won't do it, but God, that would be so just that last little chapter. That'll be the epilogue of one of the biggest stories of all time.
That would be the poetic.
Poetic. Yes, yeah, that's the word.
Like, if it went to Microsoft or Sony, it's like you're basically throwing your talon with a competitor against Nintendo. Like, yeah, if it went to Nintendo, it's like that's literally the WCW going to WWF. Like, that's all there is.
Yeah. Now, I mean, that maybe would lead to finally a good 3D Sonic game, but...
don't get crazy.
Right, they know how to make it... They have Mario Odyssey. They know how to make a good 3D platformer.
Don't get crazy. Oh, another 3D collectathon. It's fun. Now he has hats. Now he's a T-Rex. It's fun.
It's cute. Charming.
It's cute. Man, it's another cute Mario game. How new? He's not in paper. It's different.
Right, it's a world of difference. One's an RPG. One's a 3D collectathon platform.
Damn it, Jim. So yeah, if you guys know anything we don't, send us links. Always let us know.
If you know anything we don't. Yeah. Fuck. Prepare to get flooded.
All right, Chambers. So how did that $1 beer treat you?
It was fine. What am I going to complain about $1 beer? But yeah, I mean, super smooth. I'll give it that. If you're an hardcore IPA fan, you will not like this. I know the craft beer people are like, boo, it's owned by Budweiser. Fine. But yeah, even for what it is, like, yeah, it could just be them trying to LARP as a craft beer thing.
Hey, here's a question. Special. Would you ever, like, you're in a beer store and be like, you know what, let me grab a 6-pack of it?
Nah.
Are you ever going to? No. Okay.
Nah, I probably won't touch it again. Unless it's, $1. Unless it's on sale. But, yeah, then I just moved on. I have some beer sitting in the fridge. So just a good old-fashioned Golden Monkey.
Ooh, nice. Now, did you do the monkey variety pack?
Yeah. This is the season for my monkey variety packs, Brian.
Dude, I was so happy. When they started, it was 2 years ago?
It was about 2 years ago, yeah.
I
drank so much Victory last year.
Yeah, Tart Monkey. Whew, I love that thing. Sour Monkey's okay. It's not bad. But the Tart Monkey and obviously Golden, man. They're great.
Oh, yeah.
Twisted's pretty good, too, yeah. But, no, so moving on to my favorite little bit. Got a song here for Jim. Now, this is, all I can say is it's a song that what it should be representing, you know the song very well. You know the game very well. So
when you say should be.
So this is my question. This one, I think, especially knowing your ear, you should be able to pick it up. There may be a tiny bit of a tussle or a debate as to if it is a direct inspiration for the game. That's all I can say.
Okay.
So I already have it timestamped when you click on it for the point in the song, because it's a pretty long song. So I timestamped it.
All right.
So I'll have you click on it in 3 seconds, and I'll actually add in the audio to the video. So we'll get started.
Oh, right. Before we do that, speaking of, and if it isn't, cut it out. How about that added in little intro we have now for the podcast?
Oh, yeah, no. As soon as we started, I was like, fuck, I wanted to talk about that. So, yeah, we got our new intro. If you come watch our Mortal Kombat review, you may see a new intro for that as well.
Have a new logo. It's a new era for the site.
I mean, we're putting a lot of work in. Call it rebranding. Call it what you want. Call it more effort. I don't know what else to call it. But we actually, instead of just me always trying to like Photoshop or do something, I was like, let me go out, hire legit artists. We got some really talented people that will put their links below. Gave us the 2D art for our intro for the video game and gave us this neon intro for this. So,
yep. And big shout out to Optic Decay for the new logo for the page in general.
Yeah. And if you haven't already, I'm so pissed. My shirt was supposed to come today. It's in post office hands, so say what you will about them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, hopefully by next week, I'll be able to be sporting my new shirt. Hopefully Jim will be as well.
Yep.
So we do have merch available with the new logo that Optic designed. So check it out if you want to help support us.
Man, that would have been a great thing to talk about also during the Patreon segment, to say this is your Patreon dollars going to work, because that's what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
Man, we're good at this.
Jim, don't call it a comeback.
Anyway, back to the segment. So,
all right, so Jim's going to click in 3, 2, 1, click it.
All right, it's loading and an ad. 1 second. All right, clicking out of the ad in 3, 2, 1, skip.
So Jim's listening now, so I put the music up already. I've never heard of Death, and the song is called Mentally Blind.
Oh, the metalheads will hate you for that.
Yeah, that's fine. But is it ringing any bells? It should.
It is ringing bells.
Oh, okay. So, okay. This is good. I was hoping you weren't going to get too fast. If it goes into him singing, like the melody might still be there, or the general rhythm, but
let me skip back for a second.
So skip back. As you're doing that, I'm going to actually put in the link for the song that I think it represents.
All right.
Okay. I don't know.
Oh, this is really.
Oh, God damn it! No, don't look yet.
No, I'm not looking yet. This is painful.
Is it like in the, like, you've heard this before, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good sign, because then it might give more credence to the fact that I think this is actually legit.
All right. I'm throwing in the towel. So let me click the link.
Hold on. I get it. Come on. Just fucking let me copy it.
Edit
something. Yeah. All right. Here we go. All right, go ahead. Click away.
All right, I'm going. I'm doing it. All right, 3, 2, 1, click. Oh, fuck me. That is what it is.
Yep. So if you're watching the video, I have it here. It's on the Halo main theme.
Yeah, that's what it. Yep.
Question is that riff. I know it's not a super complex. Do you think this is, though? Maybe whoever composed this is like a real big metalhead, and they were like, "Oh, that could actually pretty work well with this song."
Oh, there's always a good chance. I mean, like, Death is one of those metal bands that, like, they never had like the big commercial success, but like among hardcore like metalheads, like they're one of the most like loved bands ever. So it's definitely at the very least, it probably wasn't like directly ripped off, but it's probably one of those things that's like we talked about before. It's a riff that's been stuck in his head for 20 years, and he was just like, you know what, that'll fit here.
It's funny, that's a riff like you almost think you would hear more and more often, like a lot. But I don't know, like, yeah, just even the pace of it, like, feels like, that's why I was like, ooh, maybe this really is, like, truly inspired by that.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to get back to the song, because I think it even has, like, that little, like, shit in there.
It does. So if you listen to the whole song...
That's where it really gets you, is when it's, like, it's not just, like, the da-da-da-da, but when it has da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, I mean... You guys, like I said, I did very short segments, obviously, for YouTube. But if you click the links below, you can listen to a full song. Once again, the link I put timestamps at the specific point in the song that I think is similar. If you listen to the whole song...
Maybe because the in the actual song, it's mainly done by the drums on the ride cymbal, where like it's like a guitar riff in the Halo theme. So maybe if it was done by guitar there as well, it would have been a little more... I would have been gotten it, but now, like, as soon as I saw, like, Halo theme, I knew the part that
You're
it
like,
was.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. So it was, like, that kind of, like, relation there.
Yeah. So, what if you're weighing in, what do you think? Inspired or not?
I'll say inspired, but not, like, ripped off.
Not direct rip-off? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Both songs, how familiar were you with Death before?
Vaguely. Not that. Okay. I never got big into them.
So that song, if you listen to their song, it's the tone shifts so many times. That moment in there is what actually also inspires me, because Halo the same way, starting off like the tone shift into it. I'm like, it's so juxtaposition. I'm like, maybe there is something there. I don't know, but yeah, no, it's one that it makes sense, man. Halo theme, that was one of our first Which Is Betters. I think that against Skyrim.
That might have been the very first.
And it's a great theme. It wouldn't shock me if it was inspired by a good band. So
yeah, for real.
All right. So moving on, we got from our buddy Kit, our reoccurring overrated, underrated. And he has music made for games over licensed music. So... I'm not... Is he asking about... is that more Which Is Better?
See, that one's one that you could take either way.
Okay.
So, but I think in the overrated sense, do you think music made specifically for games is better than just using licensed music?
Okay. Music made...
Okay, let's put it this way. Let's phrase it, because like it's tough, because like if you went back to 8-bit days, and of course like it's made for the game, blah 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 blah. So let's say in this day and age, do you think people going out of their way to make original music is shit? That'll be a Which Is Better again. Fuck.
Yeah, it's unless he's just assuming that music made for games is better than licensed games.
Yeah, let's put it that way.
Yeah. So here's the deal. How do I put this without sounding fucked up? Yeah. Anyone can make music for a game, and there's a lot of shitty music made for games. But if you use licensed music and you use it right, just like in a movie, it's the same idea. Like, if you use a licensed song correctly, goddamn, can it really amplify a game? Like, I'm sorry, still one of the reasons why I love Crazy Taxi is that fucking whole album. Like, that... Like, there's plenty of games where they use real life, like driving around in Vice City to actual 80s songs. Like, if that was just made up music, that game would not be as good in my eyes.
Yeah, imagine Tony Hawk with like just some random original music. Yeah.
Exactly. And not saying they couldn't have knocked it out of the park and got really good, whatever. Okay, maybe. But there is something about when you hear a full licensed song in a game, it takes it to a different level. And when it's really done well, it's very rare I hear a licensed game in a song and I think, that's kind of shitty. There's many times I hear gaming music that I'm like, it's either not memorable, sucks. I don't know. I think the art of using a licensed song is underrated. I think music made for games, especially in today's day and age, is overrated because it's very rare I hear a completely original song that's super memorable in modern generations. Usually it's all about atmosphere, setting the tone, but it's not meant to really be like a hook because nowadays music isn't what, like in the 8-bit days, music was one of the staples. If you said a game was your favorite, chances are it had a kick-ass theme. Nowadays, there's plenty of games that people say are their favorites. You couldn't even say name one of the tracks. You just know, that music's, fit the setting correctly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, these days it's like it's got to be like an indie title that emulates the old days. Yeah.
Exactly. And as we're learning through our gaming music thing, a lot of those musics are actually inspired by direct licensed music, and it's their way of getting around. So some of the music, like there's a lot in Sonic that is really just inspired by popular songs. So really, it's like, is it even that original?
Yeah, fuck.
It'd be hard for me to say it's underrated. Like, I will say, if a game truly gives a song that, like, wows, like, the only game I've said many times is Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. Like, that soundtrack is really, really well done. But it's not something you're just going to listen to randomly because it's very tied to the game.
Right.
Every other game, music's there. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fucking tough one, man.
I mean, you love yourself some music, and even all the crazy, stupid indie titles you play on the Switch. How many of those soundtracks are like? They might be fitting, they might be cute, but how many of them are you really like thinking like, oh, that one's so awesome?
They're fitting, cute, but yeah, a lot of them don't stick in the brain either.
Yeah.
Now, granted, a lot of them don't have the leg up of me having the time to spend more time with them than I do, so that doesn't help. But yeah, I always gotta. But then when a lot of games use real like licensed music in this day and age, it's like the intro to the story and shit like that, and then after the fact, it's like original whatever. Yeah, it makes no, fuck it. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say overrated. Like I think just maybe for me at this point in my life, having something familiar that I can just instantly go, yeah, like that leaves more of an impact at this point.
Yeah, I many games, even if it's the intro, like Jim's saying, if there's a song I'd like, even if I don't love the song, if it's something familiar and I see it used in a correct and like fun way, like another great franchise that does it all the time is like the Saints Row. They use all licensed music, and similarly, like in the cutscenes when you're driving around, like they use it at such opportune times that you're like, how can I not love this right now?
And you know what? Here's an example too for like a new game, even using licensed music basically, without probably having a license. I have a fan hack of Ninja Gaiden that was based on Deadpool, and the tutorial for it and the intro is an 8-bit version of X Gon Give It To You from the movie. So as soon as I heard that during the intro, I was like, "Oh man, that's fucking cool!" Like,
Yeah,
you never do that with original music. Like original music, something has to grow on you. But like a good use of a licensed track can just give you that like, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, music made for games, it's well and good. I don't want to say it's a dying art because, as I said, every game has it. But yeah, licensed music, man. I don't know. There's something when it's used right.
Yeah, like if you have if someone out there has a new game with like a song track that like is burned into your brain, like something that would be on our lists when we make our music lists, like let us know if it's something worth checking out. But
I mean, I'll tell you right now, the most famous game I can think of currently that got so much love for its soundtrack is Undertale.
Oh yeah, and I never played Undertale.
Like that, it's really like it is really good, but it's that's once again it's just emulating an old RPG style.
Yeah,
it's like you're not going to be like, man, that new Call of Duty soundtrack, woo!
Oh, what a banger!
Yeah,
oh, man.
Yeah,
Invasion of Normandy for the 70th time. Oh boy, that's. Whew.
I mean, and honestly, I thought about this too with the king of like original soundtracks. I mean, if you think like Nintendo games, how many like even like Breath of the Wild, like they're really kind of a lot of them tend to be remakes of older ones. None of the new ones are like if you put on anyone's top 10 like Zelda list, you're not going to be like, oh, Breath of the Wild is number 1.
Yeah.
It's just, you're not going to see that.
Oh, fuck, man. That song Pauline sings in Mario Odyssey is so goddamn good, though. God, that's a good song.
I hate you, Jim.
That's one of the few modern examples I could throw in there. Fuck, that's a good track.
So yeah, no, it's a good question, Kit. I think it's a tough one. I think everyone will. Now here's the deal: there will be just as many diehards that like they have 3 games off the top of their head. They're like, oh, but these are amazing. It might be the case, but I think in general, licensed music is just going to hit a different way and emote more of a reaction from you. So, for our final topic, and once again reoccurring, I have which is better, and we've talked about Nintendo and their actions, but here's the real question: what's better, Nintendo during the NES era or Nintendo during the current Switch era? And I thought it was a very easy, like, meh, but I have some interesting thoughts that I feel like they're not as different as at first I thought it would just be obvious. It's during the NES era. Like, they're clearly better. But I even think, like, from the way they design their games to basically you had to be subscribed to Nintendo Power. Like, from back then, they had a marketing mind of, like, we're going to do this magazine. It's going to be, and it was hugely successful. And I know it's a big nostalgic point, but honestly, it's the only reason why so many of those games were so stupidly hard or had things you really could never solve without knowing that shit. So you almost had to buy it. They did just as many stupid peripherals that some of them were amazing, but there was how many stupid other ones that, like, what was the purpose of these? And, even during that time, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if they were better back then or if they're better now. Like, I don't know. We know the fan service now is not very good. They're terrible with online stuff. They spit out, a Mario game left and right, but they won't give fans what they want when it comes to, like, Metroid and other things. So it's kind of like,
even then, they don't really spit out games. They're just re-releasing a lot of old shit.
Well, I'm looking at
the Wii U got way more love with original titles than fucking the Switch has.
Yeah, but the Wii U is terrible. So
and correct.
Everyone knows of all the Nintendo consoles.
People are just able to enjoy them now.
You were not going to put the Wii U. Are you going to say the Wii U is better than the N64?
No, I will not.
Okay. Well, then, what is it better than, Jim?
Although,
what Nintendo system is it better than?
If you went with a purely single-player approach, you could probably make the argument the Wii U is better than the N64.
But that wasn't a question. Jim, what system is it better than? Or is it their worst system?
Don't
even try and say GameCube.
I'd almost be tempted to say GameCube.
And you'd be wrong.
Because
controllers way better, games are better. Period.
The Wii U gamepad is a fantastically underrated controller. They have the Pro Controller.
You're right. It's better than the N64 controller. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But that's not saying
and the GameCube controller.
As we've learned, that was voted on as one of the worst controllers ever, Jim.
Yeah, it's the easy thing to hate on.
The people spoke. No, but honestly, I look at it like now, and I'm trying to think like current day, the Switch kind of was the answer to the shitty Wii U, and it is the ultimate like grab and go console. Them and indie developers are like, whew, they're tight. So they're like giving people lots of what they want. They're trying their hand at like re-releasing games, but they still have the money thing in mind. Like, getting, how much is the yearly pass? $20 or something?
Yeah, about that.
So it is pretty damn cheap, but still, once again, they're just another way of repackaging. Play our old NES and Super NES games, and we'll slowly leak out this and this and this. And they'll throw out a lot of games that people don't care about. But in NES timeline, like, I don't know. Were they a better company then?
Here,
it's tough.
It makes it tough, too, because, like, the Switch isn't done yet. The NES is done. But even if you want to say, like, whatever the heyday could be considered for both of them, you kind of just have to say NES just because with all their flagship titles, you had so many good quality entries that are all new releases to it. Like the Switch is basically living off its like indie games and re-releases of Wii U games. Like the slow trickle of like new actual games from Nintendo is like kind of a joke, but the quality is there. Like they're so good that like people are pissed that they're not getting more, but it's not like it's not hurting sales, that kind of deal. So that makes it tough, but just it's really tough to fight the quality of the NES. And Nintendo were dicks then, they're dicks now. But the way they were dicks back then, they could get away with it because they were the game in town.
Yeah.
Whereas now with Nintendo's dickery, it's like, dude, you guys are like, you're doing really good with the Switch. Like you're number 2 basically with the Switch. But you're still, in this weird phase where you could easily drop. Like, you shouldn't be as much of a dick as you are.
Yeah. They came in with, I feel like they came in with a chip on their shoulder and it never went away.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, they were butt mad about the Wii U. So, but then again, they've had a chip on their shoulder the whole time. Like, the Nintendo Partner Program on YouTube and all the other bullshit that they try to pull. So.
Yeah. No, like I said, I mean, I'm curious. I was trying to be devil's advocate. Like I said, there are some things I do see. Like,
I'll say the Switch is probably their third best era. Even like it's not even done yet. But I'll say like Nintendo, NES and Super NES, you can flip flop that whatever 1 and 2. I'll say the Switch is their third best era easily.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. I think it would go probably those two, Switch. Regardless of sales, I'd still probably say N64 and then Wii.
I would say, yeah, N64.
Like, Wii is sales, but Wii, like, honestly, it's, yeah. But I'd say N64, then Wii, then GameCube, then Wii U.
Man. If it didn't have all of its titles re-released. But, I mean, hey, it's a thing that people are buying these titles on the fucking Switch.
I mean, the Wii U, the part of the reason, Nintendo, as we know, they do love re-releasing shit, but at the same time, I think that was their way of saying, we fucked up with the Wii U. You guys are all buying the Switches. We'll just give you those games in a better quality on a better system. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah. Barely upgraded for full price. But yeah. Now, I mean, like, I'll say if you want to go, like, just straight library-wise, because, you can argue with the GameCube. I'll say you can argue with GameCube. The Wii U is better overall with its titles. And I would say, even though the Wii has 1,000 more titles than the fucking Wii U does, the Wii U has a better library than the Wii.
That I would probably agree. The Wii U is better than the Wii, and obviously spec-wise, it's better. I mean, the Wii sold as a novelty because everyone could play with their grandma now. Like that, the motion thing was like really.
But then again, here's the thing, man. This would be all right. We might have to say this for which is better between. Because I think I can make an argument. Or did we already do it? I think we already did it.
We've covered. I don't
between
know if it was
GameCube
Wii and Wii U, but
I think it was GameCube and Wii U. I think we made the argument. I forget. We have to look this up.
I mean, the GameCube. The one thing I do think of when I think of the GameCube is
it's the weakest first party titles.
It is, but it is the only console. Well, I can't say that. When I think of newer, once PlayStation really hit the market. That's the only console that was still competing with modern consoles. After that, it dropped off. There was no more compete and I think
they were niche after that.
Yeah, and I still think the games were impressive as hell when they came out. There were a lot of games that was the only system with Resident Evil 1 Remake. Like it was bringing you titles that you weren't getting anywhere else. It had a ton of great fun exclusives, and it's. That controller, one of their best. Well, after some of the others.
It's one of the most comfortable, but the C-Stick was such a bad idea.
I mean, the C-Stick was a terrible idea from the N64.
C buttons, it was a different time. They had an analog stick before Nintendo.
Doesn't matter, Jim. Doesn't matter.
Or before Sony, I mean.
But the point is, the Wii U, like I said, I shit on it just because it just did feel like a rush tech demo. Switch is what the end product was.
Yeah, the Wii U was a mistake, but
yeah, I mean, its titles lived on, obviously. So, you can't argue with the titles. It's just everything else about it.
But again, the title's the most important thing.
The console has to be good too, Jim.
It's a good console.
It's like why the TurboGrafx never did good. Terrible console. Terrible controller. Titles, subpar.
Not getting into this.
Jim, what? Tell me I'm wrong.
Battle for another day. Battle for another day.
No, but let us know what you guys think. I mean, do you think Nintendo was better during the NES era or during the Switch era? Like, you know, it's your call. Do you think they were more fan-friendly, which era, and which
fan-friendly,
practices?
library, usefulness, blah, blah, blah. Everything you want to go with.
Yeah. So, with that, everyone... Well, actually, first, Jim, before we go, how's your beer treating you?
Golden Monkey, you can't go wrong. High in alcohol, nice full mouthfeel, full body flavor. It's a damn near perfect beer, Brian.
So, not being the guy who drinks a lot of sours, I'm on my second one right now. It's pretty damn good. It is not that sour at all. It's I can't call it heavy, but something about the sours, like I can't chug sours. I take my time with them. It is really tasty. With all the different goddamn fruits, I feel like there's just too many flavors going on. Like, I definitely do get some strawberry, some cherry, some blackberry. But it's like, it's almost too much. You're almost just like, oh, I'm just drinking candy. Like, that's all it feels like. So, it's good if you like sours. If you don't like sours, you're going to stay away. But, no, it's pretty damn solid otherwise. So,
I'll have to look that up.
But with that, we want to say thank you, everyone. We truly appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, please leave us a review. As Jim said at the beginning, we will read out any 5-star reviews, not during, obviously, giveaways. But we do appreciate all your support. And if you ever want to get a question on here, make sure you visit our Patreon. With that, we want to say have a good night and cheers.
Cheers, guys.